on the record.
Okay. Please state your, can the state go ahead and state their name for the record?
Yes, Peter Donley for the state of Florida.
Okay, and PD?
Kelly Chrysler, Assistant Public Defender.
Thank you.
Officer Dunkirk, pretrial release.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to start initial appearances for Osceola County. Today is Saturday, April the 20th. We're going to start with Anthony Ball. Anthony Ball, are you present?
He's coming up,
He's
Judge.
approaching, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can you please state your name for the record?
Anthony Wall.
Okay. You're here today, you're charged with trespass after a warning. I am finding probable cause. I'm going to set a bond amount at $500. No return to the residence, no return to Kissimmee Library. Has the Public
Your
Defender's
Honor,
Office been
this is-
appointed to represent him?
Yes, Your Honor. Your Honor, this is a charge where it is the state attorney's policy to ask for a ROR rather than bond, and we would be asking for that today.
What says the state?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Go ahead and do ROR then. No return to the Kissimmee
Thank you, Your
Library,
Honor.
okay? Have a good morning. Thank you. Next, we have Louis Bender.
He's approaching, Your Honor. And he does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay. Public Defender's Office is appointed on the case. You're charged with 2 failure to appears. I find probable cause. What says the
Yes,
state in
ma'am.
regards to bond amount?
Your Honor, I believe the bond has been set by the judge at $5,999 and $1,999.
Okay. What says defense?
We would ask for the bond to be lowered. It is just a drug charge, and he would promise to appear at other court dates.
I actually showed up for court that day. They told me I didn't have court, that it got changed. So, I don't know.
All right,
It
what I'm going to do is,
wasn't-
I'm going to set bond for count number 1 at $5,000. I'm going to set bond at count 2 at $1,000.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, welcome, have a good morning. Next is Jessica Borrero. Jessica,
Requires a Spanish interpreter, Your Honor.
okay. Do we have the interpreter?
She's not here yet? Okay, no, she's not here yet.
Okay, so we're going to recall that case until the interpreter can get here.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. Next, we have Darvin Daniels. Good morning, Mr. Daniels. Please state your name for the record.
Darvin Daniels.
Okay. You're here on
And
two.
he does qualify for the
Okay.
apologies, Your Honor, he does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond at count number 1, failure to appear, $1,000. Count number 2, failure to appear, $250. The first failure to appear was possession under 20 grams. Second failure to appear was on possession of drug paraphernalia. Okay. Have a good morning.
Judge, he has 2 cases.
He has a warrant as well, Your Honor.
Let me see. Yes, thank you. I see that now. Okay, so he's also charged with stalking. What says the state in regards to bond?
Judge, we were,
Your Honor, the state would be requesting the scheduled monetary bond as well as no contact and no return to the property of the victim as well.
What says defense?
That would be fine, Your Honor.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and set the bond at $1,000. No contact with the victim, no return to the offense. Find probable cause. Public defender is appointed for that case as well. Yes. Yes. The next case we have is Alexis Espinal.
Your Honor, we would waive the reading of these charges, and he was rejected from, for income.
Okay, so are you going to get your own attorney, Mr. Espinal?
And, I'm sorry, Your Honor, and he's a Spanish case as well.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to set him aside, and as soon as the interpreter is available, we'll go ahead and call the Spanish-speaking cases. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Alfred Gandy. Good morning,
Yes.
Mr. Gandy. Please state your name for the record.
Alfred Gandy, ma'am.
And he is approved for the Public Defender's Office.
I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office. I am finding probable cause for the charge of possession of drug paraphernalia. Go ahead and set that bond at $500.
Again, Your Honor, this is another charge that, per the state attorney's policy, would be a release on own recognizance.
Okay. Is that the state's position?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, then I will go ahead and ROR you. Thank you very much. Have a good morning.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Welcome. Now we have Michael Kenna. Michael Kenna.
He also is approved for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office. Defendant was arrested for a warrant out of Osceola County. The charge is aggravated battery with bodily harm on a disabled person. I find probable cause.
Disabled. Disabled.
What says the state?
State seeking standard monetary bond, no contact, and no return to the victim's residence.
What says defense?
Your Honor, there's no, even in the warrant, there's no allegations of disability in the warrant itself. It was only bodily harm.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and set the bond at $1,000. No contact with the victim, no return to the scene of the crime, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you, have a good morning. Next, we have Eliant Maldonado Rodriguez. Please state your name for the record.
Elianit Maldonado.
Okay. You're charged with a misdemeanor battery. Does she qualify for the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office. I'm finding PC for the battery. Set the bond at $1,000, no contact with the victim.
Judge, this is Officer Dunkirk with PTR. We actually spoke with the victim, and they said that they would like for her to return home and have requested no hostile contact. She does not have any convictions at all on her criminal history.
What I'm going to do is I'm
And
going to
no
leave it at,
histories.
I'm going to leave it at no contact, and her defense attorney can go ahead and file that motion in front of the judge who's assigned the case.
Can we have a one-time assist, Judge?
Your Honor,
Yes.
she also has children which are hers and not her, her partner's. May she have third-party contact so that she may collect her children?
Yes. So she can,
Thank you.
she can retrieve her belongings with law enforcement assistance and also get her children as well.
I don't have another place to go.
I don't know which judge assigned the case.
See, I'm trying to see the person's name, because I didn't hear the name, I was on the phone. Oh, okay. So you said up on $1,000, okay.
Yeah, I'm setting the bond at $1,000. If they want to file a motion to modify the conditions of bond, they'll have to schedule that in front of the judge who's assigned to the case.
So there's no contact with the victim?
No contact with the victim. She can go back to retrieve her property one time with the assistance of law enforcement. She can also go back with the assistance of law enforcement and get custody of her children.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Yes.
If I do have a question. I don't have another place to go with my kids. If my husband is willing to go to his father's house so I can stay in the house with my kids, can we do that?
I'm not ordering no return to the residence, I'm only ordering no contact with the victim. But no contact means
Okay.
no third-party contact, no social media contact, no contact whatsoever. Do you
Okay.
understand? Okay.
I believe so. Thank you.
All right, thank you, have a good morning. Next, we have Gabrielle Marrero.
He does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Gabriel Mario.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I do find probable cause for violation of probation. What says the state in regards to bond?
Your Honor, state seeking no bond as a violation of probation.
Court's going to set this as no bond. Have a good afternoon.
Good morning, Your Honor. Dalia Romero, Spanish interpreters on the line whenever you need me.
Thank you. Okay, we've had 3 cases so far that need the Spanish interpreter, so we're going to go back to them.
Okay.
The first case was Jessica Barrero. Jessica Barrero.
Jessica Barrero.
She's approaching, Your Honor.
Please state your name for the record.
Por favor, díganos su nombre para las actas.
Jessica Borrero.
Jessica Borrero.
Does Ms. Barrero qualify for the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, Your
Señora
Honor.
Borrero es elegible para la Oficina de Defensores Públicos. Sí, su señoría.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Bien, le voy a designar la Oficina de Defensores Públicos para que les represente.
I'm going to find probable cause for the failure to appear.
Yo hallo que hay causa que respalda la acusación de desacato no haberse presentado en corte.
What says the state on the issue of bond?
Due to the failure to appear, state seeking no bond until the defendant sees the judge that put out the failure to appear capias.
El fiscal está pidiendo que se le mantenga detenida sin fianza hasta que la acusada vea al juez que le designó que mantuviera detenida sin fianza por no haber compadecido en corte.
Okay, I'm going to set this at no bond, but Ms. Barrero can always file a motion in front of the judge that this case is in front of.
En este caso va a quedar detenida sin fianza, pero la señora Borrero puede pedir una audiencia para que le den una fianza frente al juez que designó este caso sin fianza por el momento.
Thank you.
Gracias.
The next case that we have is Steve Lee. Is that right? Steve Lee.
Oh.
Interpreter?
Oh, I'm not sure that he knew.
It would be Alexis S.
Yes,
Espina?
Alexis Espinal.
Yes. And we
Alexis
would waive the
Espinal.
reading of those charges, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr.
Pedimos que no se lean las acusaciones, su señoría. Bien.
Mr. Espinal, please go ahead and state your name for the record.
Señor Espinal, díganos su nombre completo para las actas.
Alexis Espinal.
Alexis Espinal.
Does he does he qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office?
No, Your Honor.
Él es elegible para que se le designe la Oficina de Defensores Públicos, no su señoría.
Okay, Mr. Espinal, are you going to hire your own attorney?
Bien, señor Espinal, ¿usted va a contratar su propio abogado?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to move forward today, and I'm going to find probable cause.
Bien, nosotros seguimos en el día de hoy hallando que hay causas que respaldan la acusación.
I'm not going to read the charges because those have been waived, but I'm going to tell you that your bond amounts for counts 1, 2, and 3 are none, so there's no bond amounts.
No le voy a hacer lectura de cargos porque la abogada ha pedido que no se le haga lectura en actas, pero en las primera, segunda y tercera acusación usted está detenido sin fianza. Fianza es de 0.
On count 4, the bond will be $1,000, and on count 5, it'll be $500.
En la cuarta acusación la fianza es de $1,000 y en la quinta acusación la fianza es de 500.
Do you understand what you're being charged
Yeah.
with today?
Señor, ¿usted entiende de qué se le está acusando en el día de hoy?
Sí.
Yes.
Your Honor, on counts 1 through 3, I would inquire if the state has filed a motion for pretrial detention.
Estoy preguntando si en la primera, segunda y tercera causa el fiscal ha hecho una petición previa a juicio ya para que quede detenido.
And if they have not, he is still entitled to bond, unless Your Honor is finding also a proof evident presumption great in this charge.
Has the state filed a motion?
El fiscal ya ha hecho esa petición, de lo contrario, él tiene derecho a que se le designe una fianza.
Your Honor, based on what I'm looking at, it does not appear we've filed a motion. However, the state would be seeking no bond in this case on all three of these charges, and the state would request the court to find proof evident presumption great. In this case, the victim was able to state what happened, and when questioned, the defendant admitted to.
If you could please just talk a little bit slower so the interpreter can interpret everything.
Su señoría, aún nosotros no hemos formulado una petición para que quede detenido antes de vista preliminar a juicio, pero sí hallamos que la prueba es evidente, la presunción alta, la alegada víctima puede explicar qué fue lo que ocurrió y cuando a él se le confrontó, you can continue.
Yes, and when questioned by deputies, the defendant admitted to portions of the crime, which is in the probable cause affidavit that I will leave to Your Honor to read through. But I believe, second to last paragraph, there are admissions from the defendant.
I did read the entire statement, and I do find proof evident presumption great, so I'm going to leave it at no bond for the first 3 counts.
Cuando
Yes, Your
el
Honor.
acusado fue confrontado, cuestionado, él admitió parte de las acusaciones del delito. Por lo tanto, la juez puede leer el segundo y antepenúltimo párrafo y último párrafo. La juez ha hallado que la prueba es evidente, presunción es alta y por el momento continúa a quedar detenido sin fianza en las primeras 3 acusaciones. Gracias.
Thank you.
Yes, Your Honor.
The next case I have is Steve Lee.
Right now, if we get one there, just let us know.
Okay, Madam Interpreter, we don't have any other cases for right now, but if we need you, we might be calling again.
So tell her, don't hang up.
Your Honor, would you like me just to tell you the rest of the Spanish cases so that we can address them?
I mean, we have to do it for Orange County too, so she can't hang up anyway, so.
Right.
Exactly, Your Honor. You can leave them in the order as they come. I will be paying attention, so just let me know whenever you need an interpreter again.
We're just going to go through the regular order. The next case
Perfect.
is Steve
Your Honor.
Lee.
He refused, Your Honor.
Okay. Does he qualify for appointment of public defender?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Court finds PC for violation of probation. Set this as a no bond.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is your client's appearance being waived for today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next we have Richard Morgan. Please state your name for the record.
Richard Morgan.
Okay. You're here today on 2 charges. The first is battery, the second is assault. Does he qualify for appointment of the public defender?
Your Honor, that's not clear. We're filling out an application with him. We would ask to be provisionally appointed at this time.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and provisionally appoint the office of the public defender's office to represent you. I'm finding probable cause
Thank you.
on both of those counts. I'm going to go ahead and set.
Judge?
Yes?
Judge, my apologies. We actually spoke to the alleged victim, and she wishes to have contact. Mr. Morgan has not had any convictions in the last 7 years.
I believe she's present as well.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would you like to make a statement?
Sure.
Go ahead.
My husband suffers from PTSD. He hasn't had an episode quite this bad in a long time. He does have the VA. If he can get help, some advice from someone else, I'm not qualified to help him. But if he can get that through the VA, if the court could help me with that, I would appreciate it. But I do not fear for my life or my kids. I just would like him help.
Do you want him to be able to return to the home?
Yes, that's fine, yes.
What says the state?
And
I'm sorry?
May I inquire?
Yes.
Has he ever had a physical episode like this with you before?
Yes,
Okay. And if this were to happen again, would you feel comfortable calling the police?
yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
What says the defense?
Your Honor.
Oh, I'm
this-
sorry, the state's not finished. Go ahead.
The state would be okay with no hostile contact, but we would still request separate residences. If this is a mental health or PTSD-related thing, I think separate residences would still be appropriate in this case.
Okay. What says the defense?
Your Honor, the alleged victim in this has no fear from her husband. It would be best for him to be in a situation that he's home, that he is familiar with in order to continue to get treatment. And we would ask that if PTR is issued, it would be PTR with mental health conditions.
He qualifies, Judge.
And we would also ask for no hostile contact and the ability to return home. No. I'm not gonna have it.
I'm going to go ahead and set bond the amount of $1,000 for battery, for the assault, $25. I'm sorry, $250. I'm going to order no hostile contact with the victim, but I'm also going to order that they maintain separate residence. And a motion can be filed in front of the judge who has this case if he wishes to move back into the home.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, a one-time return in case he needs to get.
Yes, he can return to the home one time in case he needs to get some belongings.
Thank you.
Do I leave?
Next is Luis Natal Monge.
Spanish interpreter, Your Honor, and we would waive the reading of these charges, and he
Okay.
does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Lois Natal.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to
Le
represent you
voy a
in this
designar la
case.
Oficina de Defensores Públicos para que les represente en este caso.
Your defense attorney has waived the reading of these charges. Do you understand what you're being charged with today?
La abogada de la defensa ha pedido que no se le lea las acusaciones en esta mañana. ¿Usted sabe de qué se le está acusando? Yes.
Okay.
Sí.
Yes.
I'm finding probable cause on all 3 counts. And I'm going to
Yo
order,
hallo que hay causas que respaldan las 3 acusaciones y voy a ordenar
no bond on all 3 counts.
y ordeno que quede detenido sin fianza en las 3 acusaciones.
Your Honor, again, did the state file a motion for pretrial detention? And if not, are you finding proof evident presumption great?
First, do we have a case number on this case? I don't see it.
Nuevamente, la abogada de la defensa está preguntando si el fiscal ya ha hecho una petición para detención previo a la vista preliminar y si la jueza ha hallado que la prueba es evidente, presunción es alta. La jueza ha preguntado si hay un número de casos, estamos esperando.
And we've received no affidavit as well. We just received that there was a warrant. There's no affidavit attached to the information that I have either.
Tampoco tenemos una affidavit que establezca los hechos, solamente la orden de detención.
I did receive a copy of the arrest warrant. Let me make sure.
Yo recibí una copia de la orden de detención.
Let me just make sure we have the right case number.
Permíteme asegurarme que tenemos el número de caso correcto.
The case number, so when I see all of their paperwork, it won't show a case number, and I didn't want them to send it back saying missing a case. That's why I was asking, did they have a case number for it?
Does the state or the PD's office have a case number?
If not, we just leave it blank.
The state does not.
Okay, we just.
¿La fiscalía o la defensa
Your
tienen
Honor.
un número de caso? No, la fiscalía no tiene un número de caso. De lo contrario, se deja en blanco.
No, Your Honor, I do not.
No, su señoría, no tengo uno.
It's not on there, it's not on there either. It has no case number. It just has the agency number.
No, I still, not.
Orange County, we can pull up and call, but anything else they have to provide to us.
Which is pretrial release, should be able to call once over there, see can they get.
Can pretrial release contact warrants in regards to this case?
Judge, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this warrant was issued on the 18th, and because the courthouse is not open on Friday, and of course it's a holiday weekend, the clerk's office has not generated an actual case number. So at the moment, we are just utilizing for the case number, the agency case.
Por el momento, como el tribunal ha estado cerrado por el día feriado, el día 18, la oficina del actuario aún no le ha asignado un número de caso. En particular, este caso, por lo tanto, se están dejando llevar por el número del reporte de agencia.
I tried to look it up in the clerk of court to see if there was something in regards to Mr. Natal, and I did not find anything in there. We can find out on Monday if you want to reset it.
Do you have a telephone number that we can call
To warrants.
to warrants?
Yes, Judge. Oh, for warrants?
Yes, for warrants.
I can get it for you, Judge.
Because they will have a copy of the affidavit, even though.
Because we need a copy of the affidavit, we don't have that here.
Están tratando de averiguar si se puede conseguir el
Oh.
número de teléfono del el Departamento de
Yes,
Orden
it
de
was Osceola.
Detención, porque ellos deben de
All
haber
we
tenido
have
un
is a-
affidavit.
Pardon to Madam Interpreter. All we have is the arrest warrant itself as well. That's all we have. We don't have the affidavit.
Okay. Do you have the phone number that we can contact?
She is calling right now to see if she can get that number. So just one moment, Your Honor.
What we're going to do is we're going to set this case aside for a few minutes while that's being done, and we'll move on to the next case.
Vamos a poner este
Yes, Your
caso a
Honor.
un lado por un momento en lo que tratan de averiguar esa información.
The next case is Eliezer Roman Olivo.
He's approaching, Your Honor. And he is approved for the Public Defender's Office.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him.
Bien, señor, se le designa al defensor público para que le represente.
He's charged with failure to appear.
Se le ha acusado de desacato, de no
Oh,
haberse
yeah.
presentado en corte.
He does not need a translator, Your Honor.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry. Apologies to Madam Translator.
Okay.
No problem.
So for the charge of failure to appear, I see we have a couple different charges here. I'm going to set the bond at $2,000. And then we have another violation of probation. I'm finding probable cause. Going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him. Going to set that as a no bond. And on the third case, which is also a failure to appear on a written promise and finding probable cause, we'll set that bond at $2,000.
Hold on, Olivia. It's, it would be, yeah.
All right, thank you.
What's your question? You won't have that information right now.
Next, we have Christian Santiago Jimenez.
Does require the interpreter, Your Honor, and he does qualify for the Public Defender's Office.
Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Díganos su nombre para las actas.
Cristian Santiago.
Christian Santiago.
Okay. You're here today charged with violation of probation.
Usted está aquí en el día de hoy, se le ha acusado de incumplimiento de libertad vigilada.
I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Le designo la Oficina de Defensores Públicos para que les represente
And it's going to be no bond.
y queda detenido sin fianza.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Gracias, tenga buen día.
Alexander Serrano Guerrero.
Qualifies for the Public Defender's Office and does need an interpreter, Your Honor.
Okay,
Oh, no, you don't? No, he says no, never mind.
Please state your name for the record.
Alexander Serrano.
Okay. You're charged with battery, criminal mischief under $200, and preventing communication to law enforcement officer. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond today. Count 1, battery, is going to be $1,000. Count 2, criminal mischief, is going to be $250. And count 3, prevent communication to law enforcement, is going to be set at $1,000. I'm also going to order no contact with the victim. Anything else on behalf of the state?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else on behalf of the defense? Okay,
No,
have a-
Your Honor.
Have a good morning. The next we have is George Vega Ramos.
He does qualify for the Public Defender's Office, and he does need an interpreter.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Díganos su nombre para las actas.
George Vega Ramos.
George Vega Ramos.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Le voy a designar la Oficina de Defensores Públicos para que los represente.
You're charged here today with violation of probation.
A usted aquí se le ha acusado en el día de hoy de incumplimiento de libertad vigilada.
I'm going to find probable cause
Yo hallo que hay causas que respaldan la acusación
and set no bond.
y queda detenido sin fianza.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Next, we have William Zulecki? William Zulecki.
William Zelke.
Thank you. I tried. Okay, we're here today in
And he-
regards to, does he qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're here today on a charge of failure to appear. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to set your bond at $2,000.
We should have another case, Judge.
And I think there's one more charge, which is trespass to an occupied structure or conveyance. I'll also appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you on that case.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm going to set the bond at $250, find probable cause, and order no return to the Wawa.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Randolph Innes.
Your Honor, we would waive the reading of these charges.
Okay. Please state your name for the record.
Randolph Ennis.
Okay, do you understand
And
what
he
you're being,
does qualify.
do you understand what you're being charged with today?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'm finding probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bail or bond?
Your Honor, state's just seeking the scheduled monetary bond in this case.
Okay. What says the defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
I'll go ahead and set bond at $3,000. Next, we have Michael McDonald Jr.
Your Honor, he is still in hospital. We would ask this to be reset for 24 hours after he's released from hospital.
Okay, reset 24 hours after he's released from hospital. Were you able to get the
Oh,
paperwork back?
just, yes, Your Honor.
When, as pre-trial, did they get into it? They never gave us the number.
Does pretrial have the number for warrants?
She's on the phone right now. Oh. 407
407
348
348
2222.
2222.
It's a non-emergency number,
But is that to warrant?
But is that the warrants number?
and we're trying. Yes.
Any luck on your end on getting a hold of them?
We're trying. She's on the phone right now.
Judge, my supervisor's actually on the phone, but on the arrest warrant, I sent it over to the clerk's office this morning. I see without the affidavit, it has 2 charges, not 3. I believe count 2 was in referencing to count 1 on the arrest affidavit.
Seen us is only, it show only two. We only, right, I mean, we only get what they send us. We can't pull up Osceola.
Right.
Anything from Osceola, so they usually send us send it to us in an email, and that's the only thing they send. So Denise is gonna try to call warrants from here to see can Osceola send us something.
So we switch over to orange and start doing orange cases until this is possible?
If it's up to you, unless you just wanna reset it for tomorrow. I mean, it's,
How long do you think it's going to take to get the paperwork?
we don't know, maybe they can get it on their end. I mean, it's not.
What is the defense requesting? Would you rather reset this case for tomorrow to try to get the paperwork? Or just wait and we'll
We
start
would
with,
either,
or
we
start
would
with
either
Orange
ask
County?
for this to be, we would either ask to be reset, or we would ask for a bond to be set.
Okay. We'll go ahead and reset for tomorrow to get a hold of the paperwork. Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor.
Objection by the state?
None from the state.
Objection by the defense?
No. None, Your Honor.
Can this be put on the record so he understands this is being reset tomorrow? I just want to make sure he understands. I think this is an interpreter case.
Yes, Your Honor. Señor Natar, este caso se va a aplazar para mañana para darle tiempo a que el fiscal verifique una información. Así que se aplaza su caso hasta mañana.
Mr. Louis Natal Monge, we just want to make sure that you understand this is going to get reset tomorrow.
Señor Luis Natal Monge, queremos que entienda que se va a aplazar hasta mañana. Yes, I understand.
Okay, and there was no objection from the state of the public defender's office, so we'll just see you tomorrow then, okay?
Bien, ni el fiscal ni
Thank
la
you, Your
defensa
Honor.
se
And-
oponen,
and in
así
the
que
mean-
nos vemos
In the
mañana.
meantime, everything is staying the same, which is no bond.
Entre tanto,
Yes, Your
todo
Honor.
se mantiene igual, queda detenido sin fianza.
And the public defender's office is appointed to represent him. And the
Y la
court finds
oficina de
Yes, Your
probable
Honor, thank
cause.
you.
La Oficina de Defensores Públicos se le designa para que les represente y la jueza ya que hay causa que respaldan la acusación. Gracias.
I think that was the last Osceola County case, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, Your Honor, that is everybody.
thank you.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep, I'll be here tomorrow. Switch over anything over here? No.
You just go to B.
Spanish first?
Yes.
Okay.
CO, we have the headsets for the interpreters, correct, for the defendants? Thank you. And Your Honor, I'm not sure if I had stated my name for the record, Dalia Romero, Spanish interpreter for the record.
Thank you.
She said that Warrants, told her that they sent it to Osceola already, the affidavit.
Okay, so we just got to get it from Osceola.
So, yeah, so tomorrow they should send us everything.
All right,
that she-
okay. We're here today for Aristides Castro.
Sí.
Please state your name for the record.
Aristides Castro Campo.
Aristides Castro Campo.
Does he qualify for appointment of the public defender?
I don't know, they don't give that information to me.
Okay.
Oh, with the Spanish cases, Judge, we don't have anyone that speaks Spanish, so they usually just, the court just go ahead and appoint them.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office today to represent you. You're here today on two different charges. The first is fraudulent use of credit cards, and the second one is trafficking in counterfeit credit cards. I find probable cause for those charges. I'm going to go ahead and set bond at $500 for count one and $1,000 for count two. Any other issues on behalf of defense? No. All right, thank you. Have a good morning.
And you can hand me those.
Oh,
You can go
as
there.
I go, hand them to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
because I have to just put my paperwork with you.
Okay. Next, we have Lisette Garcia Rodriguez. Okay, please state your name for the record.
Lisette Rodriguez Garcia.
Okay.
Lisette Rodriguez Garcia.
I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you today. You're charged today with two different charges. The first is fraudulent use of credit cards, and the second is trafficking in counterfeit credit cards. I'm finding probable cause for both of those counts. And I'm going to go ahead and set bond at I'm going to go ahead and set count one as 500 and count two as 1,000. Thank you. Do we have more cases with her?
It's Garcia, no, it's a different name.
Just sounds similar.
Yeah, they're all codependent. I think that's a twin, dude. Because hers is C-L-I-C-E, and this one is L-I-A-N-T.
Okay.
Right, the two.
Just making sure this is a different person. You look so much alike and your name sounds so different. Maybe you're related. Is your name Leonette Rodriguez Garcia? Okay, perfect.
See.
Yes.
Okay, you're here today on three separate counts. I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you. You're here for fraudulent use of credit cards, possession of cocaine, and trafficking in counterfeit credit cards. For the fraudulent use of credit cards, I'm going to set your bond at 500, possession of cocaine, 1,000, trafficking in counterfeit credit cards, 1,000. And I am finding probable cause for all the charges. Thank you.
This form here is that they out on bond on this case, and then they turn around and got a new arrest. So some of the judges either take no action on the new old case, or you revoke and terminate. So this is his key here on this, and then they have a hold for this. So this charge here is for possession of, so, and then you turn around and get arrested for it. So it's up to you if you wanna
Please,
revoke it.
please state your name for the record.
Juan Gabriel Rosario.
Juan Gabriel Rosario.
Okay, you're here in regards to two different issues. First, I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're charged with new law violation of possession of heroin and possession of drug paraphernalia. I find probable cause on those charges. And I'm going to set bond at $1,000 for count 1 and $250 for count 2. And there is another case, looks like you were out on bond for possession of fentanyl and possession of heroin. I'm going to take no action on that case.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Alberto Madero?
Yeah, he the last Spanish case.
Okay, but what about?
Those are move-ups.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe this is our last Spanish interpreter case, and it's Alberto Madero.
Alberto Ariosa Medero.
Thank you.
Medero.
Alberto Ariosa Medero.
Medero. Me acuerdo por trabajo. Sentado en un banco de leche.
I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. And you are here today on charge of first-degree misdemeanor possession of a dairy case. And it's also a city ordinance violation. What says the state?
No, me acuerdo un...
Your Honor, the state is seeing one failure to appear. We'd request that the bond be reduced to $100.
I'll go ahead and set this bond at $100.
Your Honor, the defense would ask for
Yeah.
ROR, considering this is a nonviolent misdemeanor.
With a failure to appear, I'm going to set something, so I'll set it at $100.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Interpreter. I think that was our last Spanish interpreter case.
You're welcome, Your Honor. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Next, we have Ivan Monteserias. Please state your name for the record.
Ivan Esteban Monteserius.
Okay. Does he qualify for appointment of the public defender?
Yes.
They don't give that information to me. I don't have any of that.
He filled out the form. Yes, so he,
Oh, okay.
yes, he qualified.
Okay, you qualify for appointment of the public defender, so I'm going to go ahead and appoint the public defender's office to represent you today. You're here for a couple different things. The first is you are charged with disturbing the peace at a public lodging and battery. I'm going to find probable cause for those charges. What says the state on the issue of bond?
The bond listed there, 100 for disturbing the peace and battery at 500 is what the state's seeking.
What says the defense?
That's fine, Your Honor. I just want to note that the cases he had on bond for right now, he's been found incompetent to proceed in front of those courts.
Okay.
So I would be asking for ROR on the new offenses as well, since he's presumed incompetent at this point.
Well, I'm not going to release an ROR, so for count 1, I'll set the bond at $100, count 2, $500, no contact with the victim. Also, it looks like he has a couple of other cases.
He's been found incompetent to proceed.
Yes, I'm not going to take any action on those. It's possession of 20 grams or less of cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, and then also another case which is possession of 20 grams or less of cannabis. So I'm not going to take any action on those today. Thank you. Next, we have Anthony Williams. Please state your name for the record.
Anthony Williams.
Going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're charged with trespass in an occupied structure. I'm going to go ahead and set your bond in the amount of $250. Do not return to the site. Thank you. Next, we have Kenneth Rosario Paulino. Please state your name for the record.
Kenneth Rosario Paulino.
Okay. Do you qualify for the appointment of the public defender? So I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you today. You're here in regards to a charge of violation of probation. I find probable cause for the violation of probation and set no bond. Thank you.
Your Honor, I believe
Yes.
he's got a second case.
Oh, there's a second case? Let me double check.
I believe this is the new law, which is possession of meth.
I'm not seeing it, so hold on one moment, please. Here's the instant case. Okay, I do have the paperwork in regards to an additional case with 4 counts. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you on those 4 counts. Those 4 charges are possession of methamphetamine, tampering of physical evidence, possession of drug paraphernalia, and resisting officer without violence. Finding probable cause on those charges, I'm going to go ahead and set bond. Count 1 is going to be $1,000. Count 2 is going to be $100. Count 3 is going to be $100. And count 4 is going to be $100. Thank you. Next, we have Lawrence Jones. Please state your name for the record.
My name is Lawrence Jones.
Okay. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're here today on a charge of disorderly conduct. I'm finding a probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the state would be seeking the $250 bond listed. The defendant does have previous failures to appear.
I'll go ahead and set the bond in the amount of $100. Next, we have Francois Brown.
He refused, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
He refused.
They refused to come over? Okay. You want to reset it?
What did he do yesterday? He was said yesterday, did he refuse yesterday?
We're trying to find out.
Go to the next
It
page.
got reset.
Because, and then top, because he refused, I think it was mental health. Let me see, he been refusing, let's see, yesterday was mental health. So today he refused, and prior to that it was mental health. So Judge, it's up to you if you wanna continue him, or you wanna waive his appearance. How's he refused? Important, because he did fill out the PD form, so he do have a CD.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him today.
Mr. Brown?
I'm sorry, her.
I'm sorry, Ms. Brown.
With Francois, it kind of threw me.
Yes.
Could go one way or the other. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to find that she waived her appearance by refusing to come over today. I'm going to find probable cause for ag assault with a firearm and disorderly conduct. My notes reflect that there was a hearing set previously where the victims appeared in open court and gave testimony. That was on Thursday. I don't know if the state or the defense was here that day. Okay. What says the state on behalf of bond?
Your Honor, the state would be seeking the scheduled monetary bond as well as no contact, no return to the scene, and no weapons.
Okay, for count one, I'm going to set the bond at $5,000. No contact with the victim, no return to the scene, no firearms or weapons. Disorderly conduct be set at $100. Thank you. Next, we have Joshua Fennell.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please state your name for the record.
Joshua Fennell.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're charged with 2 violations of probation. The first VOP is resisting officer with violence. The second is battery on a law enforcement officer. Find probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bond?
State seeking no bond.
I agree, no bond. Thank you. Next, we have Ricky Marcano.
McConnell, refuse, Your Honor.
Well, he would be saying yesterday for mental health, and he refused today, so it needs a ED, so you want to reset it for tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and reset Ricky Marcano for tomorrow.
Your Honor, we represent him in his other case. If we would waive his,
If you waive his appearance, we'll go forward today then.
yes, that's fine.
Okay, the court's going to find probable cause, appoint the public defender's office, he's charged with battery on a person 65 or older, going to set the bond at $2,500, no contact with victim. Thank you.
He's also out on bond on a criminal mischief case 2019 CF 4066AO.
Okay, I'm going to take no action on that case.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we have George Maxwell.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead, please state your name.
George Maxwell Jr., I'm named after my daddy.
Okay. I'm going to find that you qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Yeah.
You're charged with disorderly conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
I find probable cause, and we'll set your bond at 100.
Do I get a plea?
A what?
A plea? Can I take a plea?
Let me see if,
I got a plea form.
Your Honor, he has another open case, and it looks like he may be incompetent to proceed, so I would.
okay, so we can't take care of that today. It might be something that can be taken care of on a different day, but not today. But thank you.
And Your Honor, he's out on bond on that ROR. It's possession of cocaine and drug paraphernalia. The case is 2019 CF 5267AO.
I don't have any paperwork on that. I'm just going to take no action on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Next, we have Eski Edie.
SQ 80.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I find that you do qualify for the Public Defender's Office. You're here today in regards to 2 cases, robbery, sudden snatching, and domestic violence battery. I'm going to find probable cause on both of those cases. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000 for count 2 and $1,000 for count 1 and $1,000 for count 2, and no contact whatsoever with the victim. And no contact means no third-party contact, no phone calls, no social media, nothing. No indirect contact as well. Next, we have Stephen Gillette, please state your name for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Stephen Gillette.
Okay. I'm going to find that you qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're here today in regards to a charge of battery on a person 65 years of age or older. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000, no contact with the victim, and maintain a separate residence.
Your Honor, we'd ask for a reduced bond considering that he has no criminal history or out-of-state history.
No, I think $1,000 is appropriate. Thank you. No contact with the victim and maintain a separate residence. Thank you. There you go.
Oh, that's it's a warrant, just someone already on PC, and they would just give you that if you want to read it.
Gotcha.
To say the law.
Okay, I'm gonna, next is Sergio Green. Please state your name for the record.
Sergio Green.
I'm gonna find that you do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender, and I'm gonna appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today.
Yes, ma'am.
Gonna find probable cause for 2 counts. First is aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. Second is domestic violence battery. I'm gonna set bond today. Count 1 is gonna be $3,500, and count 2 is gonna be $1,000, and no contact with the victim, and that's no third-party contact. Yes.
I apologize. I show that this is an out-of-state warrant for the domestic.
Let me double check.
He should have another case, he got,
I don't have this as an out-of-state. Is there a different case?
it's Orange County, it's not out of state.
I don't have an out-of-state on this case.
I've got possession of cocaine as in-state, and then the aggravated battery and battery domestic violence as out-of-state warrant.
It's, CF, 2019 CF 5432, that's an Orange County case.
I have it as out of Orange County as well, per the clerk's website.
What paperwork do you have that shows it's out of state? I don't have any paperwork that shows that.
Just the front of my sheet always tells me that whether or not it's an out-of-state.
Because it would say, if you look, what is that, say? This is the warrant. Can you see his, what his say?
Can you approach, we can take a look at what yours says? Maybe yours says something different than what ours says. Where?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It always shows that across the middle
Okay.
on a warrant. But it's actually have, see, if you see right here, it say orange. So that's
Okay.
what county, so if it's any other county, it would say, I'm sorry, see right here, it would say either Osceola, Seminole, whatever.
Yeah.
But it always says that across the front of a warrant.
So we're good.
We did.
Okay.
And then you have one more piece.
Okay, so we've got 2 cases with Mr. Green. So for the first case, which is the aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, second charge, domestic violence battery, the bond is going to be $3,500 for count 1, $1,000 for count 2, no contact whatsoever with the victim. That means no third-party contact, no social media contact, no indirect contact, no contact. And you've got another charge.
So it also said no return to the victim resident.
Yes, no return to the victim's residence. Now, for the second case, the charge is possession of cocaine. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you for that case. I'm going to find probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000.
Your Honor, would be requesting a one-time return to the residence if he has
Yes.
personal belongings there.
Yes. I'll order that one-time return to the residence to retrieve belongings with the assistance of law enforcement. Okay, next, we have Timothy Kirkland.
Yes, ma'am.
I find you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. We're here today in regards to, the first case is a charge of battery, domestic violence. I find probable cause.
I got
Set a bond, the amount of $1,000, no contact with the victim, maintain separate residence. There is another case, which is a violation of probation, which I'm also going to appoint the Public Defender's Office as well. I find probable cause for the VOP, and that case is going to have a no bond.
What was the, you can't bond out. What's the bond amount on the battery, please?
For the battery is 1,000.
No, you can't bond out because you're zero.
On the battery.
No, don't do that because then you won't.
Your Honor, on this case,
Yes.
her victim is also arrested here. Do you want them both in at the same time?
Probably.
It's up to you, Judge. You keep them separate?
I think it's probably better to keep them separate, so.
Would Your Honor bring them up so they could testify as to whether they're actually afraid or not?
Oh, then that is fine. Yes, I'll do that. So I think the two cases you're talking about are Erica Alford and Letitia Cardona. Is that correct?
It's, I have Terzera
Isaiah.
Isaiah. It's like two persons later.
Isaiah?
Okay, so you've got Erica Alford and Tezra Isaiah. Is that right?
Yes.
Got it.
They're sisters.
Okay, first, we're going to call up Erica Alford first.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment of the public defender, so I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you today. I do find probable cause in regards to the charge of battery. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the standard $1,000 bond, a monetary bond, we'd like to inquire if possible.
Is the victim present? Tezra Isaiah?
She right next to it, right there.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead and state your name for the record, please.
Tezra Isaiah.
Okay, now, you are also charged with domestic violence battery, so the state is going to inquire, which means ask you questions, but I want to make sure you understand that you have the absolute right to remain silent. You don't have to say anything, because everything that you say here today is being recorded, and you are charged with a crime, so you want to make sure that you invoke your right not to testify. You don't have to if you don't want to.
She's just gonna be asking about the afraid. So only if it was that, they asked about what happened, if anything.
Okay.
So the state's going to inquire and ask a few questions, but you don't have to answer anything if you so choose. Go ahead.
Miss Isaiah, are you afraid of your sister?
No, sir.
Are you concerned that she may hit you again in the future?
No, sir.
Has there been any physical altercations between the two of you in the past?
Don't answer that.
Okay, you're going to invoke your right on that? Okay.
Yes.
If-
Anything else on behalf of the state?
If this were to happen again, would you, sorry, if you were to get in a physical altercation with your sister, would you be willing to call the police?
You can if you want.
I don't want to answer.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else on behalf of defense?
Just
May I inquire?
Yes.
I have
I'm
just one
sorry, go
final
ahead.
question, I'm sorry. Do you want contact with your sister?
Yes.
Nothing further.
That was my question, Your Honor.
Okay.
Given the alleged victim's testimony, we'd ask for no hostile contact with Erica Alfred.
Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this as a $1,000 bond and order no hostile contact.
So this is Erica Alfred's case we're talking about. She
Yes.
has no hostile contact with.
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, we're only doing Erica Alfred's case. We're going to do Miss Tezra Isaiah cases next.
Okay.
So in regards to contact with the victim, it's no hostile contact, and bond is $1,000, probable cause found. Now we're calling Tezra Isaiah. Please state your name for the record.
Tezra Isaiah.
Okay. You do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. I do find probable cause for the charge of domestic violence battery. What says the state in regards to bond conditions?
Your Honor, the state would be seeking the monetary bond of $1,000 and would also seek to inquire.
Go ahead.
Ms. Alfred, I'm going to ask you similar questions. Are you afraid of your sister?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you guys maintain separate residences?
Yes, sir.
And in the future, if you were to have a physical altercation with your sister, would you feel comfortable calling the police?
I don't want to answer that question.
No further questions.
Anything else from defense?
Do you want contact with your sister?
Yes.
Are you afraid?
No, ma'am.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and set bond at $1,000 and order no hostile contact.
Your She has no criminal history. We'd ask for a reduced bond. She also has no FTAs.
No, I'm going to keep it at 1,000.
And that was no hostile contact?
No hostile contact. Next, we have Letitia Cardona. Please state your name for the record.
Leticia Cardona.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment to the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're currently charged with battery, domestic violence. I am finding probable cause in regards to that charge. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $1,000 and order no contact with the victim and maintain a separate residence. Thank you. Have a good morning.
Thank you.
Now we're on Latoya Price. Please state your name for the record.
Latoya Price.
Your Honor, we would be challenging probable cause in this case. There's nothing in the four corners of the affidavit that mentions a unwanted touching, nor is there a sworn statement from an alleged victim.
I believe we have the victim present. Would the state wish to inquire?
Your Honor, the state will wish to inquire on the conditions of bond, but I need to take a look at the probable cause first.
Okay. I'll give you a minute to go ahead and do that.
Your Honor, as to probable cause, the officers were called out for a potential domestic dispute. The officer made contact with both the defendant and the victim, saw that the victim had a scratch and a bump over his eye. Due to both the victim and the defendant stating that they had recently been in an argument, as well as the children stating that there had been a recent argument, I think there's probable cause exists that there was a battery in this case.
Okay. I'm going to find probable cause. Would the state like to inquire in regards to the victim who's present here today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please state your name for the record.
Warren Shad.
Okay.
Mr. Shad, are you afraid of the defendant in this case?
No, and there were no violence happening. It was just an argument. There was no anything. That's why I came down here.
Was this, I'm sorry, is the victim your girlfriend? I'm sorry, is the defendant your girlfriend?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever had an altercation like this in the past?
No, not with her, no.
Okay. If you were to have a physical altercation where you felt like you needed the police, would you be comfortable calling the police?
Well, I don't think we would have one because we didn't have one yesterday or prior to this. It was only an argument that got, I guess, blown out of content by, neighbors or something, whoever called the police. It was just a argument. That's why I didn't understand. I told the police the same thing.
And you want contact with the defendant?
Yeah, I don't feel threatened by her.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. What says the state? I'm sorry, defense. Sorry.
I don't have any questions for the alleged victim. I would just ask for no hostile contact and that they be allowed to maintain the same residence because the alleged victim testified they're not afraid and that they would like contact and that nothing had happened.
I'm going to set the bond at $1,000. I'm going to order no hostile contact, and I will not order maintain a separate residence so they can reside together if they so choose.
Your Honor, for the record, the state was seeking separate residences.
Okay. We're going to overrule that and go ahead and allow.
So they can live together? Or?
Yes, they
Okay,
can.
I wasn't sure whether you.
I'm getting an emergency duty call, so we're going to go off the record for a minute.
Okay, so just put it on, put on record that you're taking a few minute break to go to.
Okay, the court's going to take a few minute break, and we'll go on the record again as soon as I finish with this emergency call, okay?
Yes,
Thank
Your
you.
Put it on mute off.
Okay, we're back on the record. The next case is Samuel Rodriguez Charina. Please state your name for the record.
Samuel Rodriguez Charena.
Okay. I've reviewed your application for indigent status, and I find that you do qualify for appointment at the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Yes, ma'am.
You're here today for contempt of court for a violation of injunction of protection in regards to domestic violence. I find there's probable cause. What says the state in regards to the issue of bond?
Your Honor, we'd seek no contact and the standard monetary bond.
Says the defense?
Your Honor, we'd ask for a $500 bond.
I'm going to go ahead and order a $1,000 bond and no contact with the victim. Okay. Next, we have Michael Anderson. Please state your name for the record. Michael Anderson.
Michael Anderson.
Okay. I find you do qualify for appointment at the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're here today in regards to 2 charges: grand theft, 3rd degree of a motor vehicle, and moving traffic violation, knowingly driving while license suspended or revoked. I find probable cause for both those charges. I'm going to set the first bond amount in the amount of $1,000, and I'm going to set the second amount in the amount of $100. Find probable cause, PD's office is appointed. Thank you. Next is Verley Bennett. Please state your name for the record.
Verley Bennett.
Okay. I find you do qualify for the appointment of Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're here today in regards to possession of methamphetamine and possession of drug paraphernalia. I found probable cause for both those counts. I'm going to set count 1 at $1,000. I'm going to set count 2 at $100.
Was the public defender appointed?
Yes, Public Defender's Office appointed. Thank you. Next is Tanisha Brown. I find that you qualify for appointment at the Public Defender's Office. I'm going to appoint Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're here today.
We'll waive the reading of the charges, please.
Okay. Do you understand what you're being charged with here today? I need to say yes or no for the record.
Yes.
Okay. Going to find probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the state's seeking the scheduled monetary bond, no contact and no return, maintain separate residences.
What says the defense?
For the record, Your Honor, that Ms. Brown does not have any criminal histories, no criminal history, no convictions, no FTAs, nothing out of state. So we'd ask for a reduced bond if the court would be inclined to.
I'm going to set bond in the amount of $5,000, no contact with the victim, no return, and maintain separate residence.
Would I be able to get my stuff?
Can we have a one-time return, Your Honor?
Yes,
To get my stuff? You just gotta call.
and a one-time return.
And Your Honor, I don't know if I heard PC found.
Yes, PC is found. Next, we have Lorenzo Caldwell. Please state your name for the record. Please state your name for the record.
Lorenzo Caldwell.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're here today in regards to burglary of an occupied structure and providing false ID to law enforcement. I'm finding probable cause on both of those counts. I'm going to set bond today Count one, I'm gonna set 2,500. Count two, I'm gonna set 500.
You should have another case, Judge.
I'm sorry?
You should have another case.
Oh, sorry, one more case behind it.
Your Honor, on the burglary of an occupied structure, the state's seeking the bond amount of 10,000. I believe that's the schedule.
What says defense?
Norrisby State says the judge can deviate from the bond schedule. I'll put on the record that the defendant does not have any Florida history. Looks like there's some out-of-state history. Very little, though.
Well, I see
And
that
no
he had,
FTAs.
I see he had this other charge. I wasn't aware that this was also him. It wasn't clipped together. I thought this was a separate defendant. So I am gonna order the $10,000 bond for count one. And now that we have other charges, it's gonna be grand theft, first degree, and criminal mischief. Appoint the public defender's office to represent him. Grand theft, I'm gonna find probable cause for both charges. Grand theft first degree, bond amount of $10,000. And criminal mischief, $300.
So just to be clear, because we kind of went back and forth, we have count one's 10,000, count two's 10,000.
For the first case, burglary of an occupied structure, $10,000.
Okay.
Count two, which is providing false ID to law enforcement, is $1,000. Then on the other case that we have, which is grand theft, first degree of $100,000 or more, that's $10,000 bond. And then criminal mischief is $300 bond.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next, we have
That's mine. You can put that in the back, behind that. I don't know why she got it in the front.
Okay. Next, we have James Chambers. Please state your name for the record.
James Chambers, Jr.
Find you do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're here on 3 charges: second-degree murder with a firearm, attempted first-degree murder with a firearm, and attempted first-degree murder with a firearm. I'm finding probable cause for all 3 charges. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the state's going to be seeking no bond. I do not have the arrest, or the arrest warrant with me.
The state has not filed a motion for pretrial detention, so as of this point, Mr. Chambers is entitled to a monetary bond and conditions of release.
We're going to go ahead and pull up the paperwork now. Yes, we need to give everybody a copy. Get one, too? That's okay. We're printing out the arrest affidavit for both the state and the defense right now. That's what's taking the extra minute.
Sure.
When the state has had a chance to finish reading the paperwork, go ahead and provide your position on the record.
Your Honor, the state's prepared. After reading the arrest warrant, the state asked the court to find that the evidence shows proof evident and presumption great that the defendant did commit the acts on the arrest affidavit. The acts were caught on video. There were witnesses who were also able to ID the defendant on a lineup, and who were eyewitnesses to this as well, and corroborated what was seen in the video by the officers.
Court's going to find no bond, proof evident, presumption great.
Defense reserves the right to have a full Arthur hearing in front of the trial judge.
Yes. Next is Kenneth Davis. Please state your name for the record.
Kenneth Lee Davis, Jr.
Okay. And I did find probable cause in that last case. Okay. Reviewing your application for indigent status, and I find that you do qualify for appointment in the Public Defender's Office, so I will appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're charged with possession of methamphetamine. The court finds probable cause. Court's going to set bond at $1,000. Thank you. Next, we have Shamilia Dorsey. Please state your name for the record.
Shamia Dorsey.
Okay. I'm finding you do not qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so you'll need to hire your attorney. You're here today on 2 charges: grand theft first degree, $100,000 or more, and criminal mischief. I'm finding probable cause for both cases. You see, it's actually another case. So for the first case, it's grand theft for first degree, and then criminal mischief. For count 1, bond is set at $10,000. For count 2, bond is set at $300. And for burglary of an occupied structure, the court finds probable cause and sets bond at $10,000. And once again, does not qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office. Next, we have George Dyson. Please state your name for the record.
George Terrell Dyson.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I will appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're here in regards to 5 counts. I'm finding probable cause on all 5. It's trafficking in heroin, possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, possession of drug paraphernalia with intent to sell, and a resisting officer without violence. I'm going to go ahead and set bond today. For the trafficking in heroin, the bond will be set at, what says the state in regards to trafficking in heroin?
Your Honor, based off the defendant's history, the state believes the $100,000 bond is appropriate for the trafficking in heroin.
What's the defendant's history?
It's 12 felonies, 6 misdemeanors, 11 failures to appear, 28 unknown dispositions, possession of a weapon by a convicted felon, robbery with a firearm.
Okay, I'm going to keep the bond at $100,000 for the trafficking in heroin. For possession of cocaine with intent to sell or deliver, bond will be set at $150. Possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver, bond set at $150. Possession of drug paraphernalia set at $150. Resisting officer without violence will be set at 100. Thank you. Next, we have Michael Harris. Please state your name for the record.
Your Honor, Mr. Harris bonded.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Nope.
Do you have an inmate number for Harris?
190-118-96.
He's behavior, Your Honor.
So you want to reset for tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll just reset him for tomorrow. Next, we have Crystal Harvey. Please state your name for the record. Okay. We're here actually in regards to two cases. I find you do qualify for appointment of the public defender, so I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. I find probable cause you're being charged with possession of ketamine with intent to sell, deliver, and possession of Xanax. I'm finding probable cause for both of those counts. I'm going to set bond at count 1 at $5,000, count 2, $150. There is another case, which is a possession of cocaine, possession of drug paraphernalia, already in existence, but I'm going to take no action on that case. What's this one?
Yes.
I'm going to take no action on that one. So what, she's out on pretrial?
Yeah, she was on pretrial release on that. They may revoke her, but then it may not. You say no action.
Yep. Next is Dale Harvey. Please state your name for the record. Morning, please state your name for the record.
Dale Harvey.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for appointment of the public defender, so I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. You're here today on two charges that I'm finding probable cause for both charges: possession of ketamine with intent to sell or deliver, and possession of Xanax. I'm going to set bond at possession of ketamine of $5,000 and possession of Xanax at $150. You also have another case of possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia, but I'm not going to take any action on that case. And finding PC and appointing public defender. Next, we have Keith Hodge. Please state your name for the record.
Keith Hodge.
Find that you do qualify for appointment in the public defender's office, so I will appoint the public defender's office to represent you. You're charged with burglary of a conveyance. I find probable cause. What says the state in the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the bond I have here is $50,000.
I'm sorry, it's how much?
$50,000,
Yes.
and the state would be seeking $50,000. The defendant's criminal history includes possession of cocaine with intent, drug paraphernalia, resisting officer without, and a juvenile conviction for robbery.
Finding probable cause, we'll set the bond amount at $50,000.
Your Honor, if you ask for a reduced amount, he's never failed to appear, and he only has 2 felony convictions.
A motion can be filed in front of the judge who's handling the case. Thank you. Next, we have Timmy Holloman. Please state your name for the record.
Timmy Hollow.
Okay. I'm going to find that you do qualify for appointment of public defender's office, so I'm going to appoint the public defender's office. It looks like you take, just to clarify, your take home is $1,200 a month, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
You don't wanna, you have any kids? You said 4. What did she say? Oh, she said he goes on?
It's a question mark.
Oh, a question mark, so she wasn't sure about. So, at $1,200 a month, no dependency, no problem. You say you got any kids? Look, it says 0, just now.
It's kind of hard to read. Is that a 0 or 4 for number of dependents?
Your Honor, we already represent him on this case. This
Okay.
is a violation of PTR, so there's no need for us to be reappointed since we're already appointed.
All right, thank you.
What was the bond amount?
We're right now, I'm finding probable cause. He's here today in regards to violation of condition of pretrial release for counts 1 and count 2. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, I'm showing no bond. If that was set by the judge handling this case, the state would be seeking no bond.
Court's going to set no bond and find probable cause. Thank you. Next is Alakitha Hull. Please state your name for the record.
Alakithia Hall.
Find you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, and I'm going to appoint the Public Defender to represent you. You're charged today with possession of methamphetamine. I find probable cause. Set bond at $1,000. You also have an additional case, which I'm going to take no action on. It's trafficking an MDMA, introducing contraband in a county facility, possession of drug paraphernalia, but I'm not going to take any action on that today.
Your Honor, could I get that case number?
Case number is 2019 CF 4330AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next, we have Kiboa Johnson. Please state your name for the record.
Kibo Johnson.
How's that pronounced?
Kibo.
Kibo, thank you. Fine, you do qualify for the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're here for, I have no valid driver's license. Find probable cause. What says the state?
Your Honor, the defendant had 7 failures to appear. We'd be asking for the monetary bond.
Okay, it was actually 2 cases, so for this case, I'm going to set the bond at $500. And in regards to the second case that we have for Mr. Johnson, it is a felony battery. I find probable cause. I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent him. And what says the state and ratio of bond on that case?
Your Honor, the state would be seeking the scheduled monetary bond as well as no contact with the victim.
I'm going to order $3,000 bond, no contact with victim, no return to her residence.
We have a one-time return if he has any personal belongings there?
Yes.
Is the PD appointed on both cases?
Yes, PD's appointed on both cases. Torrin Johnson, please state your name for the record.
Torrin Johnson.
Okay, you do not qualify for the Public Defender's Office, so I'm not going to appoint them today. You're charged with grand theft first degree, $100,000 or more, and criminal mischief. I'm going to set bond at $10,000 for count 1 and $300 for count 2. I'm finding probable cause.
Your Honor, there's another case for burglary occupied structure.
Let me see if I have that. I don't have it clipped together with it. Let me double check on that. Hold on. Oh, there we go. All right, I found it. Burglary of occupied structure, find probable cause. Bond is set at $10,000.
So I have a question on him and the other lady who
Yes.
said to get their own bond. The type of charges that they got such high bonds. So you want me to set up for the termination council 3 days a week, just in case they can't get a private attorney, or no, just leave like,
No.
okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Next, we have David Kaburum.
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the record.
David Kaborum.
I find you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to represent, Public Defender's Office to represent you. I find probable cause. You're charged here today with possession of cocaine. Set the bond amount at $1,000.
Okay.
Thank you. Tina Kaiser, please state your name for the record.
Tina Keiser.
Keiser, sorry about that. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I will appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'm finding probable cause for open container violation. What says the state on the issue of bond? Oh, wait, I think there's another case here, hold on.
Yes, Your Honor, there's also possession of cocaine.
Yes, I see that attached to the back.
As to the open container, Your Honor, the state would be seeking a monetary bond of 100. The defendant does have previous failures to appear, 16 felonies, 21 misdemeanors, and for the possession of cocaine, we'd be seeking a $1,000 bond.
Okay, so for the alcoholic beverages, bond will be set at $100, finding PC. I'm also finding a PC, probable cause for possession of cocaine, set bond at $1,000.
And the public defender is appointed?
Yes, for both cases.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Franklin King. Please state your name for the record.
Franklin Frederick King.
How many dependents do you have?
I have one daughter.
Okay, you're good. You qualify for the appointment of Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint Public Defender's Office to represent you here today.
Okay.
You are charged with 5 counts. Possession of controlled substance for count 1, possession of controlled substance for count 2, possession of controlled substance count 3. All of them are without a prescription. And count 4, marijuana over 20 grams. And count 5, drug equipment. I'm going to find probable cause for all 5 counts. PD's office is appointed for bond for count 1, $1,000, count 2, $150, count 3, $150, count 4, $150, count 5, $100. Next, we have Deanna Lewis.
Deanna Lewis.
Okay. Okay, I find that you do qualify for the appointment of Public Defender's Office, so I will appoint Public Defender's Office to represent you. You're charged with possession of methamphetamine and possession of cannabis. I will find probable cause in both those counts, set bond, count 1, $1,000, count 2, $100. She does qualify? Yes. What says the state?
Your Honor, the state's seeking the monetary bond. There's 3 failure to appears in the past.
Pretrial release would be able to monitor her, so we'd be asking for straight pretrial release. She would be arrested immediately if she were to fail to appear.
Back in when? 2013. Okay, I'll do pretrial release. What conditions? Says the state? Any specific conditions on the pretrial release?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, drug testing?
Okay.
Your
Drug
Honor,
testing.
we bring her back in so she can actually hear that.
Condition of the pretrial release is going to be drug testing, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's, okay.
Random UAs, yes.
Okay.
Roxanne Lupo, please state your name for the record.
Roxanne Lupo.
I find you do qualify for the appointment of the public defender, so I am going to appoint the PD to represent you. You're charged here today with retail theft. I am finding probable cause for that charge. I'm going to set your bond in the amount of $1,000. Thank you. Yesenia Marcano.
Hospital, Your Honor.
Okay, we'll reset. Yeah, 24 hours reset for tomorrow.
Okay. Within 24 hours, are released from the hospital, or?
We'll do 24 hours when released from the hospital because we don't know how long she's going to be there for. Sedeno Martino, please state your name for the record.
Sedeno Martino.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the public defender, so I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. I find probable cause. You're charged with battery with 2 prior batteries. I'm going to set the bond amount at $5,000, no contact with the victim.
Your Honor, we would challenge probable causes to the felony battery 2 priors. There's nothing in the 4 corners of the affidavit that indicates that he's been convicted of 2 batteries prior to this. It just says crimes of domestic violence, which, as the court knows, could be any number of crimes: violation of domestic junction, violation, right, or it could be an assault. It's not necessarily a battery.
What says the state? What are the 2 priors?
In the 4 corners of the affidavit.
Okay. What years were those?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'm showing it in his history of battery and an aggravated battery.
Okay.
South Carolina. Okay, we had a domestic violence back in 2002 in South Carolina. Let's see. One in 2003. One in 2006. And one in 2007, Your Honor.
Maybe heard, we're not conceding probable cause for battery, just that there's nothing in the four corners of the affidavit that indicates that he has 2 prior convictions. So we'd ask for a misdemeanor battery bond amount.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the
Sorry,
copier.
I was asking, I said, we're conceding probable cause to a simple battery. However, there's nothing in the four corners of the affidavit that indicates he's been convicted of a battery. I mean, the state and the PTR can say what they want, but nothing in the four corners indicates he's been. So we're asking for a misdemeanor simple battery bond.
Your Honor, the four corners of the affidavit indicate that the officer went to the FCIC, NCIC. This would have popped up in that.
I read that. So, and it did find 3 prior convictions for criminal domestic violence. So
Which isn't necessarily a battery. Crime of domestic violence could be an injunction, an assault.
And everything that PTR and myself just found would have been in that same FCIC, NCIC.
I'm going to find probable cause and issue the bond at $5,000. James McMahon?
McMahon,
McMahon, thank you. Fine, you do qualify for the Public Defender's Office, and we'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're charged with 5 counts. Those are trafficking in methamphetamines, grand theft, 3rd degree of a motor vehicle, possession of drug paraphernalia, possession of heroin, and possession of Xanax. I'm going to find probable cause on all 5 counts. For count 1, bond $100,000. Count 2, $150,000. Count 3, $150,000. Count 4, $150,000. Count 5, $150,000.
Was the PD appointed?
Yes. Caitlin Murray. Please state your name for the record.
Caitlin Murray.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're here for possession of cocaine. I am finding probable cause. I'm going to set bond in the amount of $2,000. Charles Newcomb. I've got 2 cases on Mr. Newcomb. Please state your name for the record.
Charles Newcomb.
Okay. Did you fill out the affidavit for appointment in the Public Defender's Office? No? Do you want the Public Defender's Office to represent you?
No.
Okay, you're gonna be hiring your own attorney? Okay.
Already have.
Okay. You already have an attorney?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Jeffrey Smith. Jeffrey Smith.
Jeffrey Smith. Do you want to move forward here today with your first appearance?
I don't understand the question.
You want to move forward without your attorney, is that correct? Because it's completely up to you. I can reset this if you'd like. Okay. You're charged with, on the first case, possession of a controlled substance without a prescription and smuggling contraband into a detention facility. I'm finding probable cause on both of those cases and setting bond at $1,000 for count 1 and $1,000 for count 2.
How do you find probable cause? I was never in possession.
On your other case,
It's a Lake County.
yeah, it's an out-of-county warrant.
So you still gonna arraign him on it and send it down, and then they'll come get him within so many hours.
This is an out-of-county warrant for a violation of probation, contempt of court.
Yeah, he just told me it was a Lake County, set at 9, and that, once he done with Bond out of the Orange County case, Lake County come pick him up.
We're going to tell Lake County that you're here, so once you're finished dealing with the Orange County case, Lake County will have your case. So there's probable cause because you have the warrant issued, and there'll be no bond on that case. Thank you.
Tell me what it is, and they'll pick him up.
Okay, the rest of them are all okay?
You got a couple of them in there. You get to it.
Trent Pankey, please state your name for the record.
Trent Pankey.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment of public defender, so I am going to represent the public defender's office to represent you here today. You're here today for a failure to appear. It was for a pretrial conference that occurred on 9/4/2018 on a possession of controlled substance charge. Do find probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bond?
Your Honor, the state's seeking no bond until the defendant's brought in front of the judge that issued the capias.
I agree. No bond. Kesey Quezada?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't see your application for appointment of public defender's office. Did you fill one out?
For the,
The application to see if you qualify for appointment of the public defender's
I
office?
talked to the public defender, and he said I make a little bit too much.
Did you fill out the form?
Yeah, but he said I make a little bit too much money.
Oh. Okay. You're here today in regards to 4 different counts: burglary of a structure, battery, criminal mischief, and petty theft. I'm going to find probable cause on all 4 counts, and I'm going to set bond today for count 1, $3,500, count 2, $100, count 3, $100, count 4, $100.
That's fine.
The defense would advocate for straight pretrial release since she qualifies. She only has 2 prior misdemeanor convictions.
I did not point the PD.
Right, so she's the only.
So I'm just going to keep that as the bond. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, put it on back. I don't know why she put it on the front. I'm gonna get her.
Next, we have Alexander Sapp. Please state your name for the record.
Alexander Sapp.
I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the public defender's office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today. Charged with 2 counts: robbery with a firearm and grand theft 3rd degree firearm. Finding probable cause on both. What says the state in regards to bond?
Your Honor, the state doesn't have the arrest warrant. Could we get the arrest warrant to see?
We have it. We can get you a copy real quick.
The state will be seeking no bond.
For the record, the state has not filed a motion for pretrial detention and it's untimely. So he's entitled to a pretrial release conditions.
Has defense received a copy?
I've read it. I looked it up.
He can look it up too, but I'm gonna give him a copy. I'm gonna get him, that's why he reads it. Give him a copy, Judge.
I'm going to go ahead and provide you a copy. Let the court know once you've had a chance to review it.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is Sapp.
Okay, I'll make sure I'm right.
Yes, Alexander Sapp.
Okay.
Your Honor, state's prepared.
Okay,
After reading the arrest warrant, the evidence here shows that there was an eyewitness who was able to lay out the elements of the crime, and then in a photo lineup was able to identify the defendant as the suspect in this crime. Also states that he has personal knowledge and has known this person. The state would ask the court to find that proof evident and presumption great in this case, and no
what says
bond.
defense?
Your Honor, there's nothing in the affidavit that says that that lineup was conducted correctly.
I'm sorry, can you say it again?
I would say there's nothing in that arrest affidavit, in that warrant affidavit that indicates that that lineup was done correctly and properly identified. If Your Honor is inclined to find proof evident presumption great, we would reserve our right to an Arthur hearing in front of the trial judge.
It appears that the parties know each other, so I'm gonna find that there is proof evident presumption, great, but defense can reserve to go in front of the judge who's handling this case. And so I'm gonna set no bond at count 1. At count 2, I'm gonna set a bond of $5,000.
Was PD appointed in this case?
Yes. Zinabu Spencer, please state your name for the record. Please state your name for the record.
Zanabu Spencer?
Okay. I don't see your application for appointment to the Public Defender's Office. Did you fill one out?
Excuse me?
I don't see your application for appointment of the Public Defender's Office. Do you want them to represent you?
Sure.
Did they give you a form to fill out or no?
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Did you fill one out or no one gave you one?
I haven't had a pen or pencil to do anything.
Okay.
I just got the form.
Would Your Honor take testimony?
Yes. How much do you make?
I don't make no money.
You're not employed?
No.
Okay, I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you today. You're charged with 2 counts. One is possession of cocaine and one is possession of drug paraphernalia. I'm finding probable cause on both. I want to set the possession of cocaine amount at $2,000 and possession of paraphernalia at $100.
Your Honor, Ms. Spencer wants me to ask you if she can be released on her own recognizance.
No, I'm going to set it at the bond that I stated.
Okay.
Okay.
No, she said no.
Judge?
Yes.
Can you, we got a defendant right now that's non-responsive, so we got to stop court.
Okay.
So you wanna stop?
We're going to go off the record for a few minutes. Just go ahead and
Yes, just go mute.
we're going to go back on the record now. And the next case is Kevin Stewart. Okay.
You ready, guys?
Yes, for Kevin Stewart. Please state your name for the record.
Kevin Stewart.
Did you fill out an application for appointment to the Public Defender's Office? I don't see it here.
No, ma'am, I'm gonna hire an attorney.
You're going to hire an attorney?
Yes, ma'am, I'm
Okay.
just trying
Do you
to-
want to move forward here today or wait for your attorney and have it reset?
I would like to have a bond posted for the one charge, the fleeing. I have one for the DUI, and I can bond out and then get with my attorney.
So do you want to move forward today or do you want to reset?
I'd like to go forward.
You would like to move forward? Okay. First case is driving while under the influence. I am finding probable cause. I'm going to set bond in that case at $500. Second case is fleeing or attempting to elude law enforcement officer. I am finding probable cause. What says the state in regards to bond for that count?
The state's just seeking the scheduled monetary bond.
I'm going to set that in the amount of $1,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. These connected? These? Two cases. Okay. I find that, well, first, please state your name for the record.
Marco.
Marco.
Joel Torres Quinones.
Okay. I do find that you qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today. You're here for a few things. I have a total of 5 cases. First is possession of methamphetamine and resisting officer without violence. I'm finding probable cause on both of those charges. Going to set bond in the amount of $2,000 and resisting officer without violence at $100. He appointed. For the next,
That's not him, Joe.
I'm sorry?
Methamphetamine?
That's not him.
Okay, I'm sorry, they had you clipped
Yeah.
to that stack.
And then he should only have 2, Judge.
Okay, I'm sorry, that for some reason you were clipped together with,
There's a whole bunch of.
Yeah, I don't really have two.
they were clipped together.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Okay, so then all I have for Marco
Is those-
Torres,
It's the 2 new law offenses, 2 cases that he added on. So yes, this is his, yes, this one is a new law offense. and then he added on
okay.
bond, and then, yes.
okay. Okay, so you're here today in regards to moving traffic violation, driving with license suspended, third or subsequent offense. I am finding probable cause. I am appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. I'm going to appoint the bond at $2,500. Next case is possession of controlled substance without a prescription and possession of marijuana less than 20 grams. Going to set count 1 at 1,000 and count 2 at 100. You also have 2 other cases that I'm going to take no action on. And those cases are 2019 MM3222, possession of drug paraphernalia, and then also 2019 CF 5388, which is driving while license suspended with 2 prior convictions. So that's all the cases in regards to Marco Torres Quinones. Thank you. Yes.
And we only have one case.
Yes. Next is Raul Vega. Please state your name for the record.
Raul Vega.
Okay. Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment in the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you. You're here today in regards to 2 counts, one of possession of methamphetamine, and the second count resisting officer without violence. I do find probable cause for both. I'm going to set your bond at possession of methamphetamine, $2,000, resisting officer without violence at $100. Thank you. Now Viola, we've got 2 cases, right? Okay. Tammy Viola, please state your name for the record.
Tammy Viola.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for appointment of the public defender, so I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. You're here today in regards to 2 cases. The first case is possession of cocaine, and second charge is possession of drug paraphernalia. I'm finding probable cause on both. Set bond at count 1, possession of cocaine, $1,000. Set bond at possession of drug paraphernalia, which is $500. In regards to the second case, which is driving while license suspended or a DWILIS, I'm going to set your bond at $500. Christopher Williams. Please state your name for the record.
It's Christopher Williams.
I find that you do not qualify for the appointment of the public defender, so I'm not going to appoint them to represent you here today.
Your Honor, we already represent him on this case. I pulled it up on the clerk's website.
Okay, if you already represent them, then I'll go ahead and appoint Public Defender's Office to represent you on this case. There are 2 charges. They're both failure to appear. The original charges were dealing in stolen property, trafficking, and receiving money from a pawnbroker by false ID less than 300. What says the state on the issue of bond?
State seeking no bond until the judge that issued the capias.
I agree. No bond. Thank you. Zarek Williams? Please state your name for the record.
Zarek Williams.
I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You are charged with grand theft, 3rd degree. Find probable cause. I'm going to set bond the amount of $1,000.
Okay, and
Before you ask any questions, you might want to speak with your attorney first.
I believe there's a second case.
There's a second case? Ah, it was, okay, I see it now. Okay. There is one other case. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him on that case as well. It is also a count of grand theft, 3rd degree. Court's finding probable cause and setting that bound amount at $1,000. Daniel Winkler, please state your name for the record.
Daniel Winkler.
Okay. Did you fill out paperwork for appointment of the Public Defender's Office? Are you seeking the appointment of the PD?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they give you any paperwork to fill out?
We represent him on the other case.
Okay, then I'll go ahead and appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent him on this case as well. You're here today charged with 2 counts, possession of heroin and petty theft. I'm finding probable cause on both. I'm going to set bond at $1,000 for possession of heroin and for petty theft, $100. You also have an additional case, which I'm going to take no action on. It's a possession of heroin, 19 CF 5598. Willie Wright. Please state your name for the record. Please state your name for the record.
Willie Wright.
Thank you. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're here charged with possession of a firearm by convicted felon. I do find probable cause. I'm going to set your bond at $5,000.
So I can bond out.
PD was appointed on that case?
Yes,
Okay.
his officer was appointed. Kevin Barnes, please state your name for the record.
Kevin Scott Barnes, Jr.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today.
Okay.
You're here on 2 charges, possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of cannabis. I find probable cause for both charges. Going to set bond amount for possession of drug paraphernalia, $500. Possession of cannabis, $100.
Okay.
And you're also out on bond for case number, all I have is the agency case number, which is 2019 MM2480, but I'm going to take no action on that case.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. Next, we have Edward Bennett. Please state your name for the record.
Edward Allen Bennett.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the public defender, so I'm going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. You're charged with trespass. I find there is probable cause. What says the state on the issue of bond?
State
Yes.
would request to reduce the bond to $100. The defendant does have, it appears he has a warrant from Volusia County. He's got 12 failures to appear and 32 misdemeanors.
He currently has a warrant in Volusia County.
Open container.
Open container warrant.
Okay, what says the defense?
I was gonna say, I don't have information on that. And Mr. Bennett wanted me to ask if he could resolve his case today. If there's an offer from the state.
I'm not gonna have any pleas today because I still have plenty more cases to go, so, but I will reduce his bond to $100. Thank you. Thank you. Robert Connolly. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Rami Crosby.
I'm sorry? Robert Connolly bonded? Okay. He bonded out. Are you Ramey Cosby?
Rami Crosby.
Rami Cosby, thank you. I find you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender to represent you here today. You're charged with trespass of an occupied structure or conveyance. I am finding probable cause. What says defense in regards to bond?
We would ask for straight PTR since he qualifies for pretrial release. He only has 1 misdemeanor conviction in Florida. He has juvenile arrest, but I would say those aren't relevant.
Says the state?
State agrees.
Okay, pretrial release. Thank you.
The PD was appointed?
The case number is 19 MM3321, and the Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent. Brian Foley, please state your name for the record.
Brian Foley. Brian Scott Foley.
Thank you. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today. You're charged with trespass on property after warning. I find probable cause. What says the defense?
Mr. Foley would like to resolve his case if given the opportunity.
I'm not going to have time for any pleas today. Is there any issue in regards to bond?
Your Honor, Mr. Foley indicates that he cannot afford a bond and he would.
I'll lose my job, man.
I'm sorry, he like what?
He's indicating that he cannot afford a bond. He's telling me he'll lose his job if he can't get out.
I can't get out, man.
So we'd be, okay. Hang on. We're asking for him to be released on his own recognizance.
Okay, what says the state?
It's a nonviolent misdemeanor. And he has no failures to appear.
State agrees, Your Honor.
Okay, ROR.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Stand on the wall.
Kana Fuch. Please state your name for the record.
Kana Fouch.
Fouch, sorry about that.
It's okay.
I find you do qualify for the appointment of the public defender, so I am going to appoint the public defender to represent you here today. You're here for 3 charges: possession of cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, and a resisting officer without violence. I find probable cause for all 3 charges. What says the defense?
We'd be asking for her to be released on her own recognizance, and if the court's not inclined, PTR in the alternative. She has
What-
no criminal history or FTAs.
What is this state position in regards to pretrial release?
State would seek pretrial release.
Okay, going to order pretrial release. Shane Fuller.
Fuller is mental health, Your Honor.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and reset that. When? We're going to reset that for tomorrow. We'll recall Fuller tomorrow. Joseph Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the record.
Joseph Arthur Johnson, Jr.
Okay, I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today. Do you hear in regards to a charge of possession of drug paraphernalia? What says the defense?
The defense would be asking for him to be released on his own recognizance. They're both non-violent misdemeanors.
What says the state?
Based on the defendant's history, the state seeks a monetary bond, $250.
What's his history?
8 felonies, 10 misdemeanors, 34 unknown dispositions. There's no failure to appear. The state would still be seeking $250 on the drug paraphernalia and $100 on the disorderly conduct.
The possession of drug paraphernalia, I'll set the bond at $100. Find probable cause, PD appointed. For disorderly conduct, PD appointed. Finding probable cause, $100 bond.
I can't plea out, ma'am. I have no way to.
Please talk to your attorney and have your attorney tell me.
Your Honor, he wants me to ask if he can resolve his case.
Based upon his history, that's the best I can do today.
Okay.
Next is David Leroy. Okay, we'll go ahead and reset him for tomorrow.
Your Honor, we could waive his initial appearance. He's been found incompetent to proceed in 2018 MM006136 AO.
Okay. PD's office is appointed. They've waived his appearance. I'm going to go ahead and find probable cause for resisting officer without violence and fraud, given false ID to law enforcement. I'm going to set bond at count 1, $500, count 2, $100.
Given that he's found incompetent to proceed, he's presumed incompetent. As of right now, we'd ask for him to be released on his own recognizance.
What says the state?
State's seeking the monetary bond. He hasn't, no motion for incompetence has been filed in this case.
What's his history?
2 failures to appear, 30 misdemeanors, and 4 unknown.
No, you gotta do a monetary bond. Thank you.
The case he add on, Judge, or this officer?
Oh, there's also another case which I'm not gonna take any action on, which is 2018 MM 6136.
You want to stay in the new law offense.
Right, right. Next is Quai Little. Please state your name for the record.
Quad Little.
I don't see your application for appointment of the public defender. Did you wish for the public defender's office to represent you here today?
No.
No, you're gonna hire your own lawyer?
No.
Do you wanna present yourself?
Yes.
Do you wanna?
Yeah, we'd ask that you do a Feretta hearing.
Okay. Well, we're gonna do that at the end of the docket because we've got plenty more to go. So
Sure.
we'll go ahead and put that off. Okay. Lewis Connor. Please
Yes.
state your name for the record.
Lewis Connor.
Okay. Do you want the public defender's office to represent you here today? I don't see the form. Did you fill one out?
No, I didn't.
Did someone give a form to you?
No.
Okay.
He's out of county, Your Honor.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, yeah, you're out of county. Yes, yes. I didn't see the word Osceola there. Now I do, so I apologize. Okay, you're here for out-of-county warrant. I find probable cause. So we'll let Osceola know where you are.
He has a bond, Judge. You see the bond for 3,500?
Yeah, the bond was already set on that warrant for $3,500, so I'm gonna find probable cause and keep it that way. Jeremy Orcutt.
He bonded, Your Honor.
Okay. Marlon Vilbrun, please state your name for the record.
Marlon Vilbra.
Okay. You're here for an out-of-county warrant out of Seminole County. Find probable cause, no bond was set, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave it as that. The original offense was grand theft $5,000 and fraud, use of ID. So, thank you. Richard Lewis. Okay. We're gonna reset him for tomorrow. Suzanne Mahadio.
That was the one, that was the one,
When?
that was non-responsive, so we're gonna,
Oh, is that the, okay, so we're gonna reset her.
we'll try tomorrow,
Yeah, we'll reset for 24 hours. Lamar Quinton, please state your name for the record.
Quentin Lamar Walker.
Has the Public Defender's Office been previously appointed to represent him?
I'm trying to look right now.
Because I don't see any paperwork for him. Did someone give you paperwork in order to have the Public Defender's Office appointed to represent you?
I got this pink shit right here. Nobody told me
Let me see
anything.
this. I think this is a,
oh, there it is.
Where? Oh, it was a separate,
I have
I have it.
something,
I'm
tell.
sorry, it
Okay.
just wasn't attached, so I have it. Okay, I find that you do qualify for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're here on 4 counts: possession of a firearm by convicted felon, resisting officer without violence, possession of cannabis, and carrying a concealed firearm. I'm finding probable cause on all 4 charges. I'm going to set bond at count 1, 5,000, count 2, 100, count 3, 100, count 4, 150. PD appointed to represent you. Thank you. Stephen Cruz.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please state your name for the record.
Stephen Cruz.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of public defender, so I am going to appoint the public defender's office to represent you here today. You're here for a violation of probation. I'm finding probable cause. Set at no bond. Thank you. Brandon Hillebrand. Has Public Defender's Office been previously appointed to represent?
I'm looking.
I have Michael Lewis in our finance department.
Oh, Michael Lewis, the insurance.
Yes.
Is he representing on this case?
Yes, he represented me on the PV and the norm, and
He's
everything.
indicating that Michael, I'm sorry, what was his name?
Nielsen.
Nielsen represents him on this, the violation of probation and the underlying.
Okay, so is he going to represent you on this charge today as well?
There's a new charge today?
Which is the violation of probation?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
This is all, because I've already bonded out for this once, and then they violated me 2 days after I bonded out.
It looks like Mr. Nielsen's already filed an NOA.
Okay, would you like to move forward with the hearing or have this reset?
He wants to move forward without Mr. Nielsen.
Okay, so you do want to move forward today, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You're here today for a violation of probation. I find probable cause. set it at no bond. You've got another case, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, which is 2018 CF 12724, which I'm going to take no action on today.
And Your Honor, the defendant does have reporting requirements, so once he gets released from jail, he needs to report his address to the sheriff's department.
Okay, did you hear that? Report your address to the sheriff's office. Thank you. Damian Hodge, please state your name for the record.
Damian Hodge.
Okay. I find you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I am going to appoint them to represent you here today. We've got a couple of different cases. First is violation of probation. I find probable cause, and I'm going to set no bond on that case. The second one is driving while license revoked as a habitual offender. Find probable cause. I'm going to set bond on that case at $2,000. Lastly, we have possession of cannabis. I find probable cause. I'm going to set bond that case at $500. His office is appointed to represent all three. Probable cause found on all three.
Was that last bond 100?
Yes. No, I'm sorry, 500. Possession of cannabis, 500. Casey Humphrey,
Yes,
please state your name for the record.
Casey Humphrey.
Has the PD's office already been appointed to represent Ms. Humphrey? I don't see the application here.
For what?
Did someone give you paperwork to fill out for the PD's office to be appointed to represent you?
I have Michael Zemanski representing me.
Okay, you have a private attorney. Do you want to move forward today, or do you want to reset this so your attorney can be present?
I'm gonna have to stay in jail, right?
It's,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that, I'm so sorry. So it's a VOP, she'll go in front of Judge Whitehead by the 25th of next week, so.
it's completely up to you. It's okay. It's fine.
Oh, he found a motion to, her attorney found a motion to set bond on the 16th of
Oh.
April, so.
Your attorney's already working for you. File the motion. Does she want to move forward today or reset?
She hasn't answered.
Okay.
I mean, if he has to set for the 16th, I don't need to do anything today, do I? No, he found a motion on the 16th to set you for a bond hearing, but you'll go see Judge Whitehead next week, one day next week.
But you're here today for the first appearance. So do you want to move forward with your first appearance, or do you want to reset your first appearance so that he can be here?
The first appearance is fine, because you're gonna
Okay.
keep me in here anyway, right?
Okay, then you're charged with violation of probation. The court's going to find probable cause and set no bond. Micah McFadden? Okay, please go ahead and state your name for the record.
Micah McFadden.
Okay. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the PD, so I am going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you here today. You're charged with violation of probation. I find probable cause and set no bond. Okay, so as soon as he gets out, you got to report to the sheriff's office.
Oh, it doesn't seem like I'm gonna be released. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the last case that I believe we have before the FREDA inquiry is going to be Guandram Mohan. Please state your name for the record. Go ahead and state your name for the record.
Govindram Mohan.
Okay, Mr. Mohan. I find that you do qualify for the appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so the Public Defender's Office is going to represent you here today. You're charged with camping ordinance violation on private property. I'm finding probable cause. What says the defense?
We'd ask for him to be released on his own recognizance. It's a nonviolent misdemeanor, and he only has one misdemeanor conviction and 0 FTAs.
What says the state?
Qualifies for PTR, state we ask him for PTR.
Presumption is ROR.
I'll do ROR. Thank you. Okay, we can go ahead and recall Kwai Little. Please state your name for the record.
Qua Little.
Okay. You've asked to represent yourself today, so we're going to go through what's called a Ferretta inquiry. It's based upon Ferretta versus California. So when a defendant requests self-representation, the court first must establish the defendant has the present mental capacity to make a knowing and intelligent waiver of your right to counsel. This would be similar to the inquiry made when accepting a plea in lieu of a jury trial. For example, inquiry should be made regarding defendant's age, education, things of that nature. So I'm going to ask you some questions, do you understand, to make sure that you're competent to make a knowing and intelligent voluntary waiver of your right to counsel. Okay. Have you ever studied law?
No.
Have you ever represented yourself in a criminal action before?
No.
Do you understand the charge against you?
Shoplifting.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Are you aware of the maximum penalty for the charge?
No.
Are you familiar with the exact legal elements for each charge?
No.
Do you realize that if you represent yourself, you are on your own, and as a judge, I cannot tell you how to continue on with your case?
Yes.
It's completely up to you. Are you familiar with the Florida Evidence Code and Florida case law?
No.
Do you realize that the Florida Evidence Code and Florida case law govern what evidence, and in representing yourself, you must abide by those rules?
No.
Do you know what hearsay is, or the exceptions to hearsay?
Yes.
What are the exceptions to hearsay?
No.
I'm going to advise you that a well-trained lawyer to represent you could possibly assist you in regards to your case. You're not familiar with the law, you're not familiar with court procedure, and you're not familiar with the rules of evidence. If you wish to have the Public Defender's Office appointed to represent you, I would appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you in this case.
No.
Is your decision entirely voluntarily on your part?
Yes.
I find the defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived her right to counsel and will permit her to represent herself. In regards to this hearing only, defendant is charged with petty theft. I find probable cause, set bond at $250. I just want to clear that she's only been allowed to represent herself for this hearing only.
Right, okay.
Thank you. Okay, you can go off the record now? We're going off the record.